Alright, so before we move on and start working on the ladder, let's just finish off the two on the inside here. Okay, so we could either do it manually again, or we might be able to get away with maybe reusing this one up here. It's about the same length. Okay, so I'm going to try that. Alright, so I'm just going to grab this one up on the top front there. Just shift drag a copy down on the Z. Okay, and we'll say okay, and let's check the pivot point here. So hierarchy tab, effect pivot only, centered object. Just make sure it's centered, and then let's grab that one we have blocked in there and do the same thing. Just center it. Okay, then we'll grab our copy and just use the align tool here to align it to that inside one. Okay, and we'll just hit XYZ, both pivot points, and all three of these again under align orientation, and say okay. Alright, let's check it out. I'm just going to get in the inside here. Alright, so let's get rid of the one we had blocked in. Alright, delete that, and it's sticking into our post there, so let's move it back maybe a bit. Alright, just going to check for interpenetrations. Let's move it out. Alright, a little bit more. Check this end out. Alright, I'm just going to take a look at the reference here. I think I had these angled slightly the first time. Alright, so let's just maybe rotate it a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go to rotate, just change my mode back to local, and we'll just spin it a little bit here. Okay, and then let's move it down. We're going to change the mode to local here as well. Alright, so we'll move it down. I want it to kind of be tucked in behind the board there, and just above this one here. Alright, so let's take a look out here and see if that looks about right. Alright, might just take the angle down a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, so we'll do the same on this side over here, so I might steal the one off the back this time. Alright, we'll copy this, so let's shift drag again, down on the Y, say OK, and then center the pivot quickly. And then grab the blocked in one and center that pivot. Okay, and just align it to that one. Same settings as before, and OK. Alright, let's get rid of the other one, delete it. Alright, just check the positioning of this one. So I'm just going to move it forward slightly. Alright, and let's just rotate it a tiny bit. I'm going to keep this one pretty much straight, I think. Alright, so that's pretty good. If you wanted to, you could come in and change it a little bit, but it's probably not necessary. I don't think you're really going to notice that we cloned it. Okay, so just to save time, I think I'll leave it as is, and we'll move on and start working on the ladder, but let's do a save now that we have pretty much the whole tower done here. Alright, so before I detail the ladder out, I'm just going to maybe start blocking in where the little footings would be here, just so we can judge the placement of the ladder a little better. Okay, so let's select a corner post and go into isolation mode. We'll jump out into the top view for this. Alright, let's go back to the create panel, just grab a box, and we'll just drag one out here at the bottom. Alright, give it a bit of height, and let's go to perspective. Alright, we'll just make it maybe like 20 by 20. Should be fine. Okay, the height we can probably just do like 5 for now. Alright, and let's kind of position it so it's centered around the post there. And we'll convert to steadable poly. Alright, let's change the color on it too. Alright, and we just want to have a bit of a bevel detail on the top there, so let's put that in quickly. Alright, so I'm going to go to polygon, select the top face. Okay, and we'll just bevel it. Alright, so we'll take the height down to maybe 3 or so. That's probably good, and let's lower the outline amount too to push the center one in. Okay, so we'll do 3 and negative 2.5 and say OK. And let's exit polygon and just position it a little better so it's centered again. Alright, let's also move it down so it's actually at the bottom where we want it. Okay. Alright, move it forward a little bit. Alright, that's probably good. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered. Alright, so before I chamfer the edges down, I'm just going to go around and select that bottom face, and let's just actually inset that before we delete it. Alright, so I'm just going to maybe inset it maybe 1.5 or so, and we'll say OK, and then we'll delete this bottom face by hitting delete. Alright, and then I think I'll just chamfer all the edges at once, so let's just drag through, grab all of them, and chamfer. Alright, and we'll just lower this down. Right, maybe around 0.35 or so should be fine, and we'll say OK. And we also want to have the ability to slightly warp these as well, so let's add some resolution across it. Okay, so I'm just going to drag through one side of it. Okay, we'll do a connect, and let's just add maybe 4 or 5 here. Alright, 5 should be enough, so we'll say OK, and then we'll do it in the other direction as well. Drag through and hit connect. Okay, so let's turn off edge, exit isolation mode, and we'll just clone this around a couple of times. Alright, so let's just shift drag on the X over to the other post there. That's OK. Try to center it. Alright, and then we'll grab both of them holding control and shift drag them on the Y to the other side. Do a copy. And just center these. Alright, just like that. Alright, so that'll just help us figure out where we need to put our ladder a little better. Okay, so let's go into maybe the front view here for this, and we'll just grab our ladder pieces. Alright, all of them. And let's just group them so we can move them easier. So we'll go group and then group and just say OK. And then we'll just move this down so the bottom's pretty much level with the base here. Alright, and we'll have to check out the top there, make sure it's not interpenetrating, which it is, so let's just move it back a little bit on the X. Just so it looks like it's leaning up against the board there. Okay, that's fine, so we'll save and then we'll detail this. Alright, so let's just select the ladder there, and it's still grouped, so I'm just going to ungroup it by going group, ungroup, okay? And I'm just going to grab maybe the right side there, and I think I might make this a little longer than this side, so I'm just going to convert it to poly. Okay, and we'll just grab the top face here, or the top vert, doesn't matter. Alright, just go to move and just make sure you're still on local here. Okay, and I'm just going to pull that face up a little bit, just to make it a little longer than that side. Alright, it doesn't have to be much, just slightly maybe. Okay, and I think everything else is okay for it, so let's just subdivide it and chamfer down the edges. So go into isolation mode, grab our edges again. Alright, and I'll try to speed through this because I know it's getting repetitive. So we'll do it maybe around 0.23, say OK, invert, chamfer again. Alright, I might just leave the end at that, say OK, and then we'll add our subdivision here. Alright, let's do maybe like 10. Should be enough, so it's OK, and I'm going to add maybe 1 in the other 2 directions, so let's jump out into the top view. Alright, and we'll just carefully drag through the center, do connect, add 1, say OK, jump back out into the front view, and I'm just going to grab these 5 edges on the center of the top, control click the ones on the bottom. Alright, so just make sure you only have 10 here, and then we'll do a ring and just hit connect to add 1 that way as well. Alright, so we can exit edge and exit isolation mode. Alright, jump back into perspective. Alright, so let's just paint this guy really quick. Alright, turn the brush on. And take the size down to maybe like 7. Maybe a little smaller. Take the intensity way down. Again, when we're working on the really thin pieces like this, we don't want to overdo it, so we're going to keep the amount, really low. Take the push-pull down too. Alright, and we'll just quickly rough it up a bit. Alright, let's go into isolation mode, Alt Q. Just going to hit the back side. Alright, turn our brush back on. Just want to make sure I don't make it too bumpy looking. Maybe take this down slightly here. Alright, check it with the edges turned off, F4. And that's probably even fine for this one, so I'm just going to exit isolation mode, just check it out. Let's turn the brush off. Alright, so one side down, and if you don't want to, worry about having it different lengths or anything, or you want to save some time, you can just use this over here as well, but I think I'll just do this quickly, separately. Okay, so let's grab that one, isolation mode. I'm just going to leave the height how it is, and we'll convert it to poly and just chamfer down the sides. Alright, let's go down to maybe around 0.3 on this one. I'm going to say OK, invert it, chamfer. Might tighten this one up a bit, maybe around 0.2. Alright, and then we'll just add our 10 height segments here. OK, jump back out. Alright, I'm going to go into the top again, just hit Z. And then drag through the center. Add 1. Alright, jump back out into the front. Grab the top 5. Control click the bottom 5. Do a ring. And it should be 30, and then just hit connect. Alright, so let's go back out into perspective. And we'll paint this one. Brush a little too big, I'm going to take it down a bit. Alright, let's go into isolation mode, just so we can actually see what we're doing. Alright, I'm just going to lower my intensity down to 0.01 maybe, and just kind of try to smooth some of this out. Just anywhere it's looking too warped. It's not too bad. I'm just going to tone that down a little bit. Alright, F4, always a good idea. Let's see what it looks like without the edges. Alright, but that's fine, so we'll exit, turn our brush off. Alright, just hit Z and take a quick look. Okay, so those don't look too bad. Again, take more time if you want to, but I think I'll move on and start doing the rungs here, but let's just do a save. Okay, so let's grab that bottom one there. Alright, I think the width and the height look pretty good on this one, so I think I'll leave this one as is, and we'll just convert it to poly. Alright, and quickly repeat the process here. Alright, so let's chamfer. Alright, I don't know how used a ladder like this would actually get, but if people were using it over and over again, the edges here on the top would probably start to really round over as people stepped on it, especially if it's old wood and it's starting to get kind of soft. So I might leave this a little more rounded over than on our previous pieces. Alright, or you could do it more rounded over on the top and not as much on the bottom, but I think I'll just do it about 2 on all 4. Say OK. Alright, invert it. Let's take the edge down, tighten it up. Alright, maybe around 0.1. Okay, and we'll just subdivide quickly. Alright, so we can probably do maybe 5 or so here. That looks good. Okay, and we'll go left to right, and we can probably do maybe 2. And say OK. And it is pretty thin here, so we might not even need to add any in this direction, but I think just to be safe, I'll probably do that quickly. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on it in the front view and just select the center edges. Holding Control. Alright, 22. And we'll just do a connect and add 1. Say OK. Exit edge, jump back out into perspective. And I'm going to try to reuse a couple of them, so we only have to do maybe 2 or 3 of them. Okay, so let's just paint some detail on this first before we clone it. Alright, so turn the brush back on. Take the size back down to maybe around 4 or 5. Intensity way down. Push pull down. Alright, I'm just going to quickly rough it up. Again, if it was heavily used, this might start to actually have a bit of a dip or sag in it from people stepping on it, so I might just quickly hit that a little bit with Alt to push it in. Alright, don't want it to look too overdone or too uniform, so I'm going to take this down a little bit. Let's lower the brush size. Alright, so just slight maybe. Okay, and we'll just continue on here. Alright, Alright, so I might just go into isolation mode here so I can hit the back a little easier. Alright, we'll quickly rough it up. And I might flip this over when we clone it, so I just want to make sure I have detail on both sides. Alright, let's take the brush size down a little more. Okay, so turn the brush off, exit isolation mode. I'm just going to take a look here. Z. Alright, so I might reuse this up here once or twice, so let's just shift drag a copy up on the Z, say OK, and then I might use it on the third one here, so let's just use the align tool and click on that one. Okay, and again we'll use X, Y, Z, center and center, and all three here, and say OK. Alright, and let's get rid of that blocked in one, delete it, and I might just flip this over. You could mirror it, but I think I'll just rotate it, so just turn on the angle snaps and just spin it over 180. Okay, and then we'll just push it back out so it's on the outside of the side pieces there. Alright, don't want it sticking in too much. Okay, just like that. And we can even rotate these, but I might wait to do that after. Let's just move on to this one here. Okay, and for this one I think I might change the size of it slightly, just to vary it up a bit. Okay, so we'll convert it to poly, go to face, polygon, and I might just grab the top one here. And I'm still on local here, and with the move tool I'm just going to pull this face up just to make it a little taller than the other ones. Alright, not too much. Just want a slight difference between them. And we can even make it a little bit shorter by pushing in the end maybe slightly. Okay. And if you want it to be thinner or thicker, you can do that too, but I think I'll leave it. Okay, so we'll just chamfer them down again. Alright, maybe tighten this one up a little more so it looks a little different. Around maybe 0.2, 0.25. Invert. And just chamfer the end down. Tighten these up a bit. Alright, maybe 0.1. And we'll just add our 5 segments. Okay, and go this way, left to right. Add 2. And I'm going to jump out again and do this in the front view. Alright, zoom in on our piece and just go through the center, holding control. Alright, 22 again, and we'll just do 1 this way. Alright, so exit edge and we'll jump back out into perspective. Okay, and just continue on here painting quickly. And I know I'm speeding through this a little bit, it's just because I know it's getting repetitive and I don't want to bore everybody to death. Alright, let's take that brush size down a bit, take the push pull down as well. A little too intense. I'm going to go down to maybe 0.01. And the brush is a little too big still, so I'll take that down as well. Alright, we'll go back into isolation mode, just hit the other side. Alright, break this chamfer up a little bit. Take my brush size down even more. Alright, so pretty quick, but I think that's all we really need to do here. So let's turn it off and exit. Okay, so we'll see if we can reuse this again. Alright, so I'm just going to grab it and shift drag it up. And we'll do a copy. And I might stick this one up on top, so let's just use the align tool to align it to our top one. Same settings, and we'll say OK. And I might just flip this one over as well, so let's rotate it 180. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to change the mode here to local on rotate, and just spin it 180 this way as well. Right, long ways. Alright, and let's get rid of the other one there. Delete it, and just make sure this is actually sitting against the surface. Okay. Just stick it there for now, maybe, and we'll tweak it in a second. And for this one here, I might just clone the bottom one again. Alright, so I'm going to shift drag that one up, and we'll copy it and align it to the last one. Say OK, and I'm going to dump the blank one and just paint this one quickly so it doesn't look the same. Alright, just change the shape really quick. And you could do this on all the pieces that we've cloned if you really want to make sure that no one's going to notice that we reused it, but it might not be necessary. Alright, so even just like that, just change it up. Alright, so let's just figure out if we want to rotate any of these or change the spacing. Right, I might vary the space in between them a little bit, so I'm just going to go to move, change the mode back to local. Alright, grab this one down here at the bottom. And I might leave that there. I'm going to grab the next one up and just move it up a little bit, maybe. I might be able to rotate it a little bit as well. Alright, so let's turn the angle snaps on, and again I'm on rotate and local here. Alright, I'm just going to spin it just a slight bit. Alright, you can either push them over, one way or the other. Alright, maybe like that. This one I might just move it down slightly. Alright, it looks kind of weird, let's move it up. Alright, maybe push it over there. Alright, this one I'm going to rotate the opposite way. Just a tiny bit. Alright, and just move it up a little bit more. Alright, the top I think I'll leave it. Just take a quick look here. Alright, F4. Okay, so we're slowly getting there, it's coming along. We're pretty much done with the tower, we just have to do the deck boards up there and they won't take too long. We can probably just do a few of them and then reuse them. Okay, so before we do that, let's save, just to be safe. Alright, so I'm just going to right click and unhide all just to get our deck boards back up there. Okay, let's actually open up the reference, might be a good idea. Okay, so I'm just going to shrink this up and maybe keep it up here in the corner. Just so I can kind of see the length of the boards. Alright, and we'll just start with the first one here on the front. Okay, let's convert it to headwall poly. Alright, so I'm just going to grab the verts on the side and just push them in. So it's a little shorter here so it matches the reference. Alright, maybe like that. And I'll just leave the other end as is. Okay, and let's chamfer down those edges again. Alright, let's get rid of this for a second so we can see, and we'll chamfer. Alright, we'll go down to maybe around 0.3 or so. Alright, invert it, Control I, chamfer again, and just tighten this up. Alright, maybe around 0.17 or so, should be good, and then we'll just add some segments across it. Alright, and 10's probably going to work again. That's probably enough, so we'll say OK, and then we'll just drag through from the side. Do another connect, and we can probably use 2 or 3 here. Alright, 3, and OK, and then I'm going to jump out into the front view. Alright, just hit Z, find our piece, and then we'll go through from the side, left to right, and do another connect and just add 1. Alright, exit edge, jump back to perspective, and we'll just paint it quickly. Let's take the brush size down a little smaller. Let's hit this side. Alright, let's try this in isolation mode so we can see a little easier. Alright, go around to this side and we'll just hit the top there. Make sure we hit the bottom. We'll try to reuse a few of them if we can, so we want to make sure we have detail on this side, so if we flip it over, it actually has some detail on that side. Alright, I'm just going to be careful here not to cross verts. And a lot of the detail on these ones will be covered up by the water tank on top, so we don't have to totally worry about it. Just going to lower this down for a second, and just kind of smooth the bottom out a little bit. I think I pushed it in a little too much. Alright, that's probably cool, so let's exit. Alright, turn the brush off. Alright, let's check for interpenetrations too. You can see it's sticking into the beam there, so let's just push it up so it's sitting on top. And when we get it all done, I might go over and just make sure everything's okay one last time, but we'll leave it for now and just move on. So I'm just going to take a look at the reference one more time. Alright, so the one here in the middle is kind of short, and this one over here, so we can probably reuse this for one of those. Alright, so let's grab it, shift drag a copy up on the Z. Alright, we'll just use the align tool here and maybe align it to the second to end one there. XYZ, pivot point, and OK. And then we'll just get rid of that one, delete it out of there. I'm just going to slightly push it over a little bit. And I'm going to try to avoid having any of the ends perfectly line up if we can. Right, maybe we should flip this over too while we're at it. So let's go to rotate, turn our angle snaps on, just give it a 180 spin. Alright, maybe spin it this way 180 as well. Back up into place. Alright, make sure it's kind of sitting on the top there. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect. If there's a little bit of interpenetration, that's okay. You're never going to see it. Alright, so I'll move on to the second one here. Let's just take a look at this. Alright, so we've got it sticking out here on this side, and a little tiny bit on that side. So I'm just going to move it over a bit. Maybe like that, and let's convert it to poly. Okay, and I don't want to alter the height of it very much if I can help it, because if we pull it up like this, then when we try to put the tank on here, it's not going to obviously work. So we'll leave the height pretty much as is, but we can play with the width and the length. So I might make this one a little bit wider by just pulling these side verts over just a bit. Alright, and then we'll chamfer it down. Alright, let's go down a bit. Alright, do this one a little tighter, maybe around 0.22 or so. Invert, chamfer again, and I'll just leave the end like that. Alright, so let's add our 10. Okay, and then we'll add our 3 this way. Back into the front view for a sec, and just drag through the side, and add our 1. Alright, exit edge, turn on our brush, lower down the amount again. Alright, a little too big, let's take it down to maybe like 9. And we'll just continue on here. And again, we just want to pay attention to the ends. Try to make them look, different from the one next to it if you can. Alright, so let's go around to this side. Alright, I might leave this one kind of like that, not really warp too much. Okay, but we do want to get the inside here and the bottom, so I'm going to go into isolation mode. Take the brush size down a little bit. And we'll just quickly hit this side. Let's hit the bottom too. And I'm just randomly pressing Alt again, like I mentioned before. Alright, a little too blobby, let's take the amount down, just see if we can smooth some of this stuff out. We're a little crazy there. That bulge maybe. We got one there too, just take that down. And you can use the relax brush if you want to. Alright, check it out without the edges on. Looks okay, so we'll just use that. So let's exit. Turn our brush off. Hit Z and just take a look. Alright, so let's check the reference one more time. See if I can reuse this somewhere else. I'm just going to check that back one. Alright, so we'll just grab the second one here and copy it, holding shift. And I'm just going to align it to the back. Say OK, and then we'll ditch that back one, the blocked in one. Alright, and I think I'll just get the rest of them done and then we can play around with adjusting the ends. Alright, so I'll move on to the third one here from the front. Alright, just going to take another look at that. Alright, and it's sticking out a bit here and we want it to, so I'm just going to move it over like that. That might even work right there. Okay, so isolation mode, convert it to poly. Go down to maybe 0.3, Control I. Tighten it up a little bit, and then add our segments. Just do 10. This way as well. And once again in the front view, we'll just drag through side to side. Alright, jump out and exit isolation mode. Okay, so that's okay I think, so we'll paint it. Take this down a little more. And if you really wanted to save a lot of time, you could just make one of these and then just copy it a whole bunch of times. The only reason I'm not doing that is just because I want to have control over the length. Scaling it is always an option, but I just prefer to do it manually. So if anybody's wondering why I'm not just cloning a whole bunch of them, that's why. Whack the end out a little bit here. Alright, and we'll go underneath in isolation mode. Just make sure we give it some detail. Okay. Good enough, I think, so let's exit. Alright, just going to zoom out. Alright, check the reference one more time. Okay, so we got a pretty short one here for the fourth one. Alright, so we're just going to go around to the front and grab the fourth one there. Convert it again. Alright, and we'll just grab the verts, push them in. Grab these ones, push it in. Alright, might make this one slightly thinner than the rest, just by moving the verts over there. Okay, and we'll just detail it quickly. Alright, add the 10, then drag through from the side. Do the 3. those ones. Do the one. And turn this off. Alright, so we're almost there. Just a couple more to go. I'm just going to lower the brush size again. I think it's a little too massive. Alright, let's up the amount. It's not really doing much. And this one's going to be, covered up with a tank anyway, so it's okay if we don't, totally spend a lot of time on it. I'm just going to go underneath. Alright, so let's exit one more time, turn our brush off. Okay, so not too bad. Let's take one more look. Alright, so I'm just going to grab that second one and push it back a bit, and grab this one, and just convert it to poly and make the left side just a tiny bit longer than it is. Alright, I think I'll leave this end as is. And we'll just do this for the last time. Alright, maybe around 0.3 or so. I might just leave the ends at the same amount, and we'll grab that. Quickly so to edit. Alright, add one this way. This should be the last piece of the wood, finally. Just lower this down a little bit more. Let's check the end note here. Make sure we hit it in between the boards too. And underneath, so let's go isolation mode again. And just hit the bottom. Alrighty, so that should take care of it. Let's check it out. Alright, we'll just check and see if we want to change anything. Alright, I might just grab that second to back one and just move it over a tiny bit. Move this one over a tiny bit maybe. And I mean, I have them pretty out of whack here. You don't have to go this extreme if you don't want to. You can have them more lined up. Alright, so I think that's it for the wood. I'm just going to do a save, and then I'll just do one last check and make sure there's nothing we need to move around before we move on to the tank. Alright, so let's just save, just in case we have a crash.